Heel to the Face podcast for another week on Twitter at Heel to the Face. We are everywhere when it comes to YouTube, iHeartRadio, iTunes, you name it. We're joined as always with Brandon the Icebreaker Clements. You can find him on Twitter at Icebreaker21 and myself, Jared Wicks. So without further ado, let's get another week's worth of the program underway. Raw this past Monday night in Albany, New York, but let's skip that. Let's talk about the real news in WWE, and that is the Smackdown deal with Fox.
A lot of money.
$1.1 billion.
That's billion with a B, not million. That's a lot of money.
And that is not for the WWE as a whole, as in what UFC just signed with ESPN. UFC just signed a 5-year deal worth $1.5 billion for rights to pretty much every TV show that UFC produces other than pay-per-views. This isn't every WWE TV show that they produce other than pay-per-views. This is one specific show. This is not the NFL. This is one specific. This is Thursday Night Football. Because this is not Sunday Night Football, because that's Monday Night Raw. Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football, that's the WWE equivalent of Raws and pay-per-views.
Yeah.
This is Thursday Night Football that I got $1.1 billion for.
I got to say, great deal for the WWE. I mean, that's good for them. Now, here's my thing. I know a lot of folks are, they're doing the streaming side of things now. Me personally, like I have PlayStation View. I don't have like cable, so it's like if it's going to be on like Fox, so that means for a lot of you guys you're going to have to get the antenna or
Well, that actually is better for people who don't have cable, but because the fact that there are more outlets. Because a lot of people who do cut the cord still keep they'll cut the cord, but they'll keep the antenna around.
But here's the issue though. Like a lot of folks, like myself, I DVR stuff. I don't watch it live. I'm not going to sit there and watch 3 hours. I want to flip through the commercials and stuff so I can watch it in maybe 2 hours or an hour and a half.
Well, if you DVR it, then what you're saying is you have cable.
Well, I know DVR actually comes with PlayStation View. That's the beauty behind it. You get DVR on PlayStation.
And you don't get Fox on PlayStation View?
No, you don't. See, with PlayStation View, you get like the big channels like the USAs, the TNTs, the travel channels, stuff like that.
But not the big channel because Fox is a bigger channel than that.
No, it's like the cable channels. You don't get like your local 3, 5, and 9, so to speak. You get like the big names like the USA. It's the non 3, 5, and 9, non ABC, non Fox. So that's why I have an antenna. But I'm wondering what's going to happen. I'm like, are they going to put it? I'm hoping they'll put it on like the Fox Sports Go app or something. Maybe that's something they'll do because I've watched things on Fox Sports Go.
And a lot of the stuff. I noticed a lot of the Fox Sunday Baseball and stuff. Now, I don't know for sure. What I've heard is the rumors are that it's going to be on Fox and not Fox Sports, which is FS1, which would be huge. Because I know you're over here, the minority group of people talking about how you'd rather it be on the NBC Sports Network owned by USA, and because you get it on the PlayStation View. But Fox, that's the channel that plays the Super Bowl. That's the channel that plays the World Series. And SmackDown is going to be on that station. I cannot wait.
It's good. It's good for it. I mean, but the problem is, a lot of people don't. A lot of people I know a lot of folks they don't watch. They don't have cable anymore. Like there's
I think this gets more eyes on the show. This gets more eyes on SmackDown than the USA Network because cable cutters still have antennas. But people who have antennas don't have cable. This is both people. If you have cable, you have Fox and you have USA. If you don't have cable, you probably still have Fox. USA is a cable-only network. This appeals to two different types of people. This appeals to people who don't have cable but still have the antenna.
Let me ask you this then. Does this deal say, hey, we're going to have Fox now? SmackDown's working with Fox now. Does that mean we'll never? You think we'll ever see SmackDown and Raw, like maybe after it's after it airs? Do you think it'll ever be after on WWE Network?
I
not like a month later. I mean, like a lot of times like Hulu, they do it the next day.
No, I still think it'll be whatever. It'll still be on probably Hulu because I think Hulu does the same thing currently with Fox.
Yeah, I know with Hulu. I don't have Hulu, but I know.
I think Hulu has agreements with certain channels to play certain shows. That's the deal.
It's the thing with Hulu that
I think it has a deal with Fox because I think Simpsons and Family Guy show up on Hulu like a week later.
Anybody out there watching or listening to the show, if you have Hulu, let us know because I have heard this. I'm not a Hulu. I've never had Hulu in my life, but I've had like Netflix and whatnot. But I've heard from people that have Hulu, I believe, it's a shortened show. Like you don't get every segment of the show. Like they cut things out. I believe. Don't quote me on it. Tweet us at Heel to the Face and let us know if you have Hulu and let us know what your experience is. But I mean, I've read it on like message boards and stuff. I believe is what it was.
I still think though it's going to be on, like you said, like the Fox Sports Go app, that whole thing. More importantly, it's just going to get. Can you imagine? I'm kind of psyched about this. come the World Series, probably one of the more watched events on Fox, hyping up Smackdown, because I believe it comes, first of the year 2019. So seeing WWE get hyped up on Fox, and, I'm just thinking, because I remember I watched the very first ever Smackdown, both the pilot and then the first official episode. Smackdown's what got me into wrestling, because I didn't have cable television. A lot of my friends had cable TV. I did not have cable television. One of them turned me on to Smackdown, the pilot episode, because it said, hey, wrestling's going to be on the UPN network tonight. I know you get that. And believe me, looking back on it, UPN, SmackDown carried that channel, because after SmackDown left, we don't talk, there's no such thing as UPN anymore.
Yeah, UPN's been gone for a long
UPN's
time.
been gone for a while now. And, I felt that SmackDown really carried that network. I never watched 1 minute of UPN outside of wrestling. But I tuned in one night, when I was a teenager, watched wrestling because it was on network television. Obviously Fox is a different meaning of network television. Fox is not like, UPN. Fox is there should be network television and, prime network television, because that's really...
Yeah, it's not like it's NBC and then the CW.
Yeah.
That's how the CW is like UPN.
Yes. That's exactly. I think that it morphed into that. So Fox is definitely a much broader version. It's not like what UPN was, but UPN was still a network channel, and I picked it up and I watched SmackDown, and I've been watching wrestling ever since. But it has gone a long way since being on the UPN network, a fledgling new network that really just needed programming. So it found, some of the cheapest programming you could find, Moesha and with Brandy, I think that was a show then, and reruns of Martin. And some of the, some other, offbeat comedies that, never became real sitcoms.
But it was. It's old shows, old reruns.
There were new shows, but they were not anything that they weren't Friends.
It wasn't
they weren't
like
Mad
CSI.
About, they weren't. Yeah, they weren't Friends. They weren't Will and Grace. They were these offbeat. They were the bad version, and I say this, kind of weirdly. Take two broke girls. And then take people you've never even heard of to play that part, and then add no marketing machine behind them, and that's the sitcoms they had at the time.
It's true.
Reading NBC, NBC paid, and this is after UPN, in 2010 when SmackDown moved over to Sci-Fi, for SmackDown, $30 million.
That's a bargain compared to what Fox is paying now. That's insane.
That's insane. And, and that's what you got to think. Everyone says, $1.5 billion for the UFC. What would WWE programming in general? If you've got Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and then the weekend shows.
I'm thinking 2.5, 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That's
2.5, 3.
If you're getting just one of the products for that amount.
And again, not the main product.
Yeah, it's not like it's the pay-per-view or Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, I was fortunate enough growing up. I did have the cable, so I was always Monday Night Raw was the show, man. I watched SmackDown too growing up, but Monday Night Raw was something like I always watched. It's the what do they call it? The flagship show, I think is what they call it. So for me, if you're getting that much for SmackDown, you got to be getting a lot more if you're going to be throwing Raw in, pay-per-views, NXT. That's a lot of money.
Now, we'll talk a little more about this SmackDown deal with our Twitter question of the week. You can find that on our social media SmackDown segment. Let's move on to Raw this past week. What did you take of the segment, the indie wrestlers? I saw them leaving the Times Union Center. This kind of shows you how high they were on the rank. So I actually walked out of the Times Union Center in Albany, New York after Raw went off the air, and I see some of the quote-unquote wrestlers, the ones who played Bobby Lashley's sisters during what was an awful segment. And to show you how high they were on the rank, I see them leaving, out the traditional, truck gate, thinking they're about to jump into a, a rental car or on a bus or anywhere near that. And then I see them walking. And then 20 minutes later, they're walking literally in front of the arena. Like, they're not with the wrestlers anymore. They're now with the crowd where everyone's getting out. And they're just crossing the street and going. And then I see them get into a car in a parking lot in which, was farther from a parking lot than the fans parked in. To show you. So you knew, I didn't know exactly who they were at the time, but their identities were revealed to be indie wrestlers. And that kind of shows you a kind of the working of the life of an indie wrestler. I know you know Colin Delaney and how that works.
Yep.
You get this call up. It's not like, you're this now all of a sudden VIP. It's really like a tryout. You're just a fan showing up with a little bit access pass to go back there and be on the show. These guys parked, probably paid $20 to park just like any fan, down the street from the Times Union Center, and they were walking their bags out of the Times Union Center the same way that everyone else was, down the regular street, right in front of the box office, crossing the street in front of all, and they weren't really being, approached by fans. Nobody was hounding them for autographs. We knew they were performers because we literally just saw them, but also because they had luggage. So it was probably kind of an awkward situation.
What do you get paid for that? What do they generally get paid for that?
I don't know. We'll have to bring Colin Delaney on because we're familiar with him and his indie works and how his WWE career started the same way. You know, Rochester, New York. They needed a squash guy, I believe, that night for I think it was Umaga, and he got the call to show up because he's from the Rochester area. And just make a one-off appearance. And like I said, he probably parked across the street in a regular garage. He didn't have the parking pass because he didn't even know until minutes before. You know, they probably gave him a little direction, come around to this side door. Maybe even come around to the front and just tell a security guard, hey, I'm such and such. And they get on their radios and they say, okay, you know,
come on back.
Yeah, you can go, you know,
we'll have to
go past the box office and the ticket line.
We'll have to try to line that up. I know Colin's a busy guy with his schedule.
So what'd you make of that segment overall? I thought it was awful.
I think it was... we'll kind of get to it a little bit later. I thought it was one of the worst segments I've ever seen on Raw. That was absolutely...
It had no awful comedic value.
No, it was... And here's the crappy part. You put Sami Zayn in a spot like that, like... Sami Zayn's pretty entertaining. I mean, he's not bad on the mic.
Yeah.
He's a good wrestler. I mean, he was trying to make it as entertaining as possible, and it was still a train wreck.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was waiting for the jokes, and I didn't see them.
Yeah, it was... I just didn't like it. It was just, I mean, what I was, and I kind of, I mean, obviously I was hoping it was actually Lashley's sisters, but obviously that wasn't probably going to happen. So I was kind of like, when I saw like the one girl, quote unquote, with the mustache, I'm like, oh my god, this. I mean, as soon as they came out, I'm like, all right, this is not as fun. And I knew right away it was going to be stupid. I thought it was poorly written, and I feel bad because it didn't make Sami Zayn look too good either. You know, I thought it was. Overall, it's one of the worst segments I've ever seen. So
what would you see some of the highlights on Raw? I mean, the Ronda Rousey confrontation was all right. You know, that kind of hyped up that match a little better than it was going to be with Nia Jax. I thought the open of the show, you know, all the stars, you know, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, kind of all in one big segment. You know, you had the original match turned into a tag match. You know, I thought that was decent as well. But, you know, not too many highlights on Raw.
Let me ask you this. What did you make of the Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax situation? To me personally, I don't know how I feel about Nia Jax. I thought she kind of, to me, it felt like it felt kind of awkward with her in there.
I didn't think it felt too awkward. I felt like it was a decent segment. A lot of people thought there was going to be more, but you know,
she didn't really say much.
I feel we got a few weeks to go. You know, and that's the problem. We had this big long gap, you know, for a change between pay-per-views. So, you know, we do have, you know, another 4 weeks, maybe 3 full weeks. I think it's like June 16th, and we're still, you know, we still have another May Raw, and then I think we have 2 more Raws after that before Money in the Bank.
Well, here's my thing,
so there's still a lot more time for them to do a lot more.
Ronda, I thought Ronda looked good on the mic. She did a good job on the mic. I think she was doing a lot better. Obviously, Stephanie, she's been doing it a long time. It wasn't overall a horrible segment. I just felt like I felt like they weren't letting Nia really say much. Like, she kind of just sat there, kind of gave this look, and it was like, I mean, she kind of told, like, Stephanie, like, all right, yeah, here we go. You know, kind of looked at Ronda Rousey and said, hey, you know, this is the deal. You know, I'm going to beat you. I want to make a name for myself. But to me, I felt like it was pretty much Ronda Rousey was sitting on one end of the table, Nia Jax was sitting on the other end of the table, and Stephanie is the one pretty much talking. It was pretty much a Stephanie McMahon segment, if you think about it.
Yeah, you know, I felt like, was Stephanie kind of, you know, coaxing them both on?
Oh yeah, it was she was definitely egging them on. Like, she was, you know, saying things about, you know, Ronda that, oh yeah, Nia, that's what Nia really thinks, and then she was, you know, it was like the reverse psychology on both of them. I thought it was, I mean, of course Stephanie does a great job with that, so Stephanie's very strong on the mic. So I thought it was, I mean, overall it was a pretty decent segment. I got the impression that like they didn't really give Nia as much reign. They didn't let her loose a little bit as much as I thought they would. I figured they would do more.
Now, Raw this week saw yet another week in which we saw a traditional end to Raw. You know, it's strange going to these Raws where they just have a match. And, you know, we've seen this maybe going on a few months now for the most part. Raw hasn't really gone off the air with too many, you know, to-be-continued segments. Raw's been going off the air with just matches. And I kind of am more of a fan of the segments. You know, I like Raw going off the air with something that kind of, you know, you wonder where it's going to lead to.
This is the thing. I really enjoyed that Braun Strowman Finn Balor match.
That was a good match.
Yeah, it was a good match. And the cool thing was the way they ended the show. Obviously, you know, Braun goes over. I mean, we knew that was going to happen. Like, I've noticed that. Like, as soon as they announced that match, this is the first thing I thought. I'm like, okay, it's going to be a good match. You know, Braun's going to destroy him, and then Finn's going to somehow, you know, do what Finn does, and you know, he'll hang in there. He'll make it look good. He'll fight for a while, and then eventually Braun's going to catch him, and that's it. And that's exactly what happened. it was a great show of respect by Braun Strowman. Like at the end of the match, he could have picked him up and did the running power slam that he does, and he kind of posted Finn on the turnbuckles there, kind of lifted him up, kind of gave him this look, like kind of nodded at him and said, "Not bad, man. You're a tough cookie." You know what I mean? It was cool. It was Braun's way of showing respect. I thought that was cool, and I know the commentators kind of made that point. So it was really, I liked how it ended, and I think you can see there that Finn and Braun have a very good respect for each other.
Now, I felt that maybe Ron and Nia should have maybe closed out the show with that kind of stare down kind of thing.
I would have done it. See, if they were gonna put them on, last, I would have liked to seen maybe Ronda put her in an armbar, or maybe Nia Jax, do her slam and stuff, do her finishing move, or what do they call it? The leg drop? Is that what she does? Yeah. So she drop the leg drop, maybe put somebody through a table, maybe knock Stephanie over, make it interesting. If they're gonna do something like that, then yes, put it at the final, the final segment of the night. But as it was, I didn't mind it where it was.
Now, quickly, let's move to let's move to SmackDown from Monday Night Raw. I felt that SmackDown this week had, not better matches, I guess more important matches. Felt like there was more importance on the line. Daniel Bryan, Jeff Hardy, that was a pretty good match. Setting up Bryan he gets a shot next week against Samoa Joe for Money in the Bank ladder
spot. Which I can't wait for. That's going to be a great match.
But other than that, I think it had some decent matches. We found out the stipulation for AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Wait, was it a pillow fight?
Yeah. Is it still going to be a pillow fight?
That was funny. When I first heard that, I'm like, okay, let's get to the real thing. It is a last man standing match. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a great match. For once, I love the Usos, and Usos have they've been on a tear the last year. I like the fact that they're letting Gales and Anderson get the win there. They're over. They're getting over now. So I really like that. And Lana Day, huh?
Lana Day.
That was cool.
And she was even chanting it in the match, Lana Day, Lana Day.
That was cool. I didn't see that coming. So there was two surprises of the night. I thought the Usos were going to win because Gales and Anderson haven't gotten a push, which pleasantly surprised they did. So that was good. I hope they. I don't think they're going to beat the Bludgeon Brothers, but we'll get to that. Obviously closer to the pay-per-view, but it's good to see them getting a little bit of a push. And then looking through, I mean, you got Andrade Cien Almas. I mean, he defeated a jobber, so it wasn't. I want to see. I know this is how they do this. They're going to build him up, make him look so great. I'm waiting to see him fight. Some of the big guys, the big names. And then what was the latest on Big Cass? I know he re-injured his knee, didn't he?
Yeah, he re-injured his knee, and that is why there's the new open spot.
So let me ask you this: what did they? He didn't tear it, did he? Is it just kind of like I didn't see? I didn't hear much more.
The full extent of the injury, I don't exactly have.
Obviously, it was serious enough where he can't perform. So I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen with him because he just got back, and if he retore it, I mean, I'm obviously I'm not a doctor, but it didn't look good the way he's carrying himself. When I saw my crutches and stuff, that didn't look good. So I'm hopefully it's not. I mean, we were talking about Big Cass. I think it was last show or the show before that. I mean, he just needs that nudge. He needs a manager, and I think the sky's the limit. So hopefully it's nothing serious. Maybe it was a tweak. Maybe he just needs to do the rest, elevate, all that. I forget the whole. I think it's rice is what it's called.
Hopefully he comes back real soon because obviously he just came back after a very long time away.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's been gone 9 months.
A final note on Monday Night Raw, attending Monday Night Raw. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I did not go to WrestleMania. I did not sit on a floor that had 60 rows. I sat on a floor that had only about 20 rows, and I was only in about row 9. And yet, some of the worst seats in the house. I mean, obviously it's probably too late now, but to WWE to really change this. But if I'm watching Monday Night Raw and I'm 6 foot tall and I have a hard time seeing the ring with signs, with people standing, with just cameras everywhere, and I can't see when they're outside the ring, I can't see anything at all. Mm-hmm. I can only imagine the person 4 rows behind me that's 5'3", how much they could see. I can only imagine the person who at WrestleMania, when it's in a dome, 30 rows behind me that's 5'3".
Yeah, good luck seeing the ring.
Yeah, like I said, I was in row 8. And I was like, I would trade seats with somebody in one of the lower levels, pretty quickly. I might even trade, row 1 of the upper level.
Just so you can see everything.
So you can see everything. Mm-hmm. I've said it before, obviously, about WrestleMania, how they need to elevate the ring, because there's so many people on the floor. How can you even see? And being at Raw, sitting at, row 8, finding myself, the boos of the people behind me, but just like, a traffic jam, you're only as good as the car in front of you. I'm only as good as people in front of me who are standing up, so I got to stand up, and yet we still don't see much. And with the Raw rings and SmackDown rings, not just the rings, but the entranceways, they're much lower to the ground. Raw and SmackDown used to be much more elevated.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're are much lower to the ground, pretty much not even really off the ground at all.
Overall, did you have a good time though?
Was it the same as the No Mercy, which saw Kurt Angle won the world title, or the New Year's Revolution, where Edge cashed in Money in the Bank, or the Monday Night Raw? The very first ever WWE show I went to was at the Times Union Center, then known the Pepsi Arena, where I saw Chyna, Triple H, Edge, Christian, 2 tag belts change. Edge and Christian beat the Hardys with the help of Rhino making his debut. Then the Dudleys beat Edge and Christian for the tag belts with the help of Spike Dudley making his debut. In comparison of those Raws, no. But... But, either way, WWE is always a good time, and the highlight of the night for me, and I think for everyone there, was simply Who Wants to Walk with Elias, because that's the new highlight of everyone's night.
Yeah, I was going to say, Walk with Elias, that's must-see TV, man.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for this segment on YouTube. Make sure you join us every week on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Brandon the Icebreaker Clements, myself, Jared Wicks. Make sure you're always tuning in.